Going on, Legion Nuda playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to our Daily Gaming XP Grind, episode 60. I can't believe we're already on 60 episodes. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop a like or a subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. So there's been quite a few little updates on Discord, and they've also been adding them to the RuneScape Dragonwilds news on their actual website. And ultimately, none of this really equates to anything dramatic or too crazy. But obviously, it's good to know that they're constantly working on the game. So right now, we are not even 100% sure about what we're going to be doing right now. We're probably just going to kill a bunch of sheep and ram. We also got to keep working on our essence because we actually haven't picked all that up. But we've been working incredibly hard. We haven't been doing a lot behind the scenes, but we definitely want to get ourselves in a shape to basically reach 1 million runecrafting experience, potentially by the release of Fell Hollow. There's no guarantee on that. Obviously, we're just going to keep going as we have been and sort of see where things go in the game. But ultimately, I think we've made incredible progress so far in the game, and we're just going to keep doing that and keep going with it and see what happens. But obviously, range comes to the game on September 9th, which is going to be really massive and exciting. And ultimately, I don't think they're going to release a lot of new creatures, which is the one area I think that it's going to be lacking, because essentially that means we're just going to have to keep killing the same things that we've been killing basically for such a long time. So it doesn't really add a lot of new things to the game, but essentially it would add range to the game, which I think a lot of people are really excited about, and I think rightfully so. I think it's just going to overall add a new element to the game that not a lot of us have really got to experience, and that is range. Hopefully they add a lot of really cool different things to, I guess, would I say it's like a skill build? Not sure, like a chart, different things that we're going to be able to do in a game with range that are going to be really cool. Hopefully, potentially some special abilities and things like that. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but I believe in what they're doing here and what they're trying to create. So I think with that, I think that we can get excited and ultimately don't have to worry too much, as I think we're going to be in good hands with the way that they've taken the game so far. So I think it's just going to be a matter of waiting and seeing in what they do, and but I think we're going to be okay. I just think it's kind of unfortunate that we got to wait so long for Fell Hollow. But as I've discussed before in other videos, they say that Fell Hollow's going to basically make the game, what is it, like the current size of the map. Basically, it's going to be 2 to 3 times the size of what we currently have. So I think even though we've had to wait quite a long time to get that to the game, I think that it's going to really give us a lot more to explore and a lot more to do in the game. So even though it's a long way, I think that it's just going to dramatically open up the game for us to do a lot of different things. So I'm actually quite excited about it, and just to sort of see the direction that they're going to go, because they've already sort of discussed certain things like, I think, skeletons in the game that I want to add. Hopefully they add a bunch of different skeletons, and it's just not like it is right now where we've got a bunch of Garou running around. I would really like to see a little bit of variety. I think that would help a lot. Not just in the sense of having something new, but I would really like to see... Well, I just died right there, so that's a little bit ridiculous. I guess I was not paying attention to my health enough, but I really don't care. It happens, and I just wasn't paying enough attention. But ultimately, what I'd like to see come to the game is basically more creatures to fight. I think that's going to be really big. I think that, obviously, having a variety. I think that's one of the things I can complain about right now that I'm not really, really happy with. But ultimately, I am happy with the game overall. So these are things that they can easily fix. I'm pretty sure that they see what has sort of happened and that there not being enough variety. But I will say, whatever does happen, that there are going to be more animals to kill in the game, even the sheep, like ram, stuff like that. So ultimately, even though we may only get skeletons, I don't think that's the case. I think that they do know what's expected of them and the opportunity that presents itself. I think that they're going to be adding lots of different creatures to the game. They've showed us the skeletons, but I do believe that they want to have some things that are sort of behind the scenes that are going to add incredible lore and sort of variety to the game. It's obviously just going to take time. and obviously they got to keep some of these secrets to themselves. They've been incredibly vocal with the what is it, the fan base, the users who are playing the game. So I like a lot of the things that they are planning on doing and the things they've discussed. Obviously, certain things we are wondering, and they're answering all those questions, which I think is actually quite great. That we actually have feedback from the developers to let us know what's going to be coming to the game. And September 9th couldn't get here soon enough, especially since I played the game so much. It's just like a lot of the same, just killing a lot of the same creatures just over and over. But hopefully they change that in Fell Hollow. If the area is going to be 2 to 3 times the size of what we currently got now, I think that we can definitely expect to see quite a bit of new things and things to keep us interested in between updates. But then, as you know, every 3 months they're going to be updating the game. So I think overall, I think that we're going to see great changes come to the game that we're all going to be really excited about, and that we're all going to have a lot of different things to enjoy, especially with the new skill, right? Isn't it? It's going to be farming, right? So when farming comes out, obviously that's going to add quite a bit to the game. So we're really excited about that as well. I thought I saw some essence I could shoot down. I guess, was I mistaken? I guess I might have been mistaken. But ultimately, I don't really want to grab all the rune essence right now, as I feel like that's not a great idea. We could check over here and see if there's any that sort of reloaded back in or spawned. So there's nothing. But I do want to sort of kill some more creatures. The best place to do that is just going to be here. We're just trying to get a little bit of meat so we can work on cooking. Unfortunately, I mean, you guys have watched my videos. It just takes a ridiculous amount of time to gather all these materials, and then you get what seems to be just the most ridiculous least amount of XP in cooking. So it's just a journey, and we got to keep going. And I'm not going to lie, there was a part of me that sort of just realized, like, this is crazy. Like, we're not going to have an update for so long, and honestly, we've sort of run out of things we can do. So I think all we can really do is just keep grinding on EXP. I think that's the last thing we can really do, is just keep working towards the ultimate goal. And it seems like it's so far. I don't know. I mean, I've talked about it quite a bit as far as like what 99 is going to look like. And I personally think a million XP should cover it. But obviously they want to keep the game going. So in that regard, it's really hard to say. But obviously the time someone's going to invest in a game is going to vary from person to person. So they're obviously going to have to make it manageable. It's not regular RuneScape. They're not foreseeing people to sit on this game for 500, 600 hours. But then again, there are those hardcore players who will sit here and play the game for that amount of time, like myself. But you know what I just saw? I just saw this node, right, with all these rocks. And it sort of got me thinking, what if they made like a golem creature that you could sort of fight, and it was just made of complete rock, and potentially that's how you got runite ore? That will actually be incredibly sick. I don't think they're going to do that. Obviously, you want to keep it somewhat traditional, but at the same time, there are certain games that do things like that. I believe it's Albion Online, which I actually really enjoy that game. I think the only problem with it is it's a little bit difficult. Obviously, I started playing that game very late, and it just sort of seemed like I couldn't really get the player base. Also, it looks like a lot of the people play from a different region, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I really couldn't understand what a lot of people were saying, and so it was really tough to find groups and things like that. Actually, the first person to help me in Albion Online, I couldn't understand a word the guy was saying, but he still sort of told me to follow him, and I did, and I actually learned quite a bit about the game. But ultimately, I think that it's going to be interesting. They're talking about RuneScape Dragonwilds having worlds that can hold, I think they said 50 upwards to 100 people. Obviously, they've got a lot of work to do in the development of that, because sometimes it's really hard to think that you could have that many people. And the reason I say that is because even right now, with everything I got built in my worlds, you can see how long I might lag. And if you've got that kind of lag, and then you want to add people to it, then you're going to have some real problems. So ultimately, I had to leave right there really quick, because we had that giant Garu monster there, who's definitely death. That's what he spells. He's incredibly difficult to kill, and I really don't want to deal with that right now. So we sort of just had to skip him. But we should be able to grab these berries and kill these rams. it's interesting because they sort of updated the weight that you could hold, but I still notice I never have enough room. But I think that's because I kill things in such a large amount that I don't think there's ever going to be enough room that I can hold. This is going to be an interesting fight right here because I'm not sure because I took so much damage already. It wouldn't take much for this creature to kill me. I actually hate these. I thought about potentially putting wood floors so that way when it tries to attack me, it wouldn't be able to because it would never spawn again. But ultimately, I'm not sure how I feel about that because I think they're actually kind of good to have. You get a little bit of resources when you kill them, and then you also get XP, and you get quite a bit of XP as long as you can survive. So basically, we're going to have to teleport out of here now. But I mean, this is pretty much it. That's why it's called the Daily Gaming XP Grind. It's going to be a constant grind trying to level up and get resources. I don't know how much of the resources from the early age stages of the game are going to be used later on. That's going to be really another interesting thing, isn't it? Because I don't necessarily know that we're going to need a lot of these things once Fellow comes to the game, but it's possible to keep the game sort of. I'm trying to find the right word, but basically, it's possible to keep these areas somewhat relevant that you might have to actually keep these areas sort of in use. Now we've got to go because ultimately we're about to get annihilated. I'm glad we didn't get poisoned there. That's good. I don't know how far away they were from me. They might actually still be able to find me. So I don't want to go too far over here. And they are coming. No, there's a sheep. But there they are. They're coming this way now, but from a different angle. But ultimately, that's all we can do. Is just keep getting resources and then just have massive amounts. A lot of the hides I really don't need anymore. I don't know. I think they did mention that they might bring player trading to the game. And if that's the case, it potentially could help. I think they did kind of mention that they might do that, which I think would be beneficial in certain ways. And then in other ways, I don't really know that it would help at all. Because obviously I'm going to have a ridiculous amount of resources, but what could people give me? Because I think that if you played the game enough, you would already have what you need. And then if you didn't play the game enough, what would you have to give me? Or just, not even just me in general, what would you have that you could be bartering with somebody else to sort of get that trade to make it, like, make sense? So, all very interesting things. I know you really can't make... I mean, it's interesting, right? Could you add currency to the game? I think you could. I think they could make it work. I think it would look maybe potentially, I don't know, because you obviously don't want to take away from the skill aspect of the game where you're supposed to collect things to repair your armor. So once they delve into that a little bit too much, it's sort of going to take away from a lot of the core mechanics of the game. You can't really have people sort of being able to fix their things with currency. So I don't really know how that would work. Player trading, I guess you could just go to other worlds where people need things and then you could provide those things. But I don't necessarily know 100% how that might look, except maybe friends who want to play together who potentially maybe one person put a lot more time into the game and then they could just give their friends different things. But I think there's already sort of a system in place for that. You sort of just have everything in chests and then you could just invite your friends to your world and then you would just be able to give those things to them anyway. So I don't really necessarily think player trading is needed in the game. But who knows, the future may hold many different things, and obviously they're going to look a lot of different ways. So we've just got to sort of wait and see what they decide to do and sort of go from there. I mean, right now I'm very limited from what I can really do. Obviously, I can keep making armor, which I plan to do, just making a ridiculous amount of armor mannequins and have a gigantic fleet. So I think that's just obviously something that I can do over time. But ultimately, killing rats, different things like that, that's going to give me more attack XP. So I think for the most part, it's very rinse, repeat, repetitive, which is really nothing wrong with that. I think if anything, we are gearing ourselves up for what's to come in the game, new updates, things like that. Let's see what's in here. I believe there's going to be a ridiculous amount of bittercat mushrooms, which is actually going to be really good for cooking. Don't need to take a hit from him. Let's go ahead and kill him. Let's go ahead and shoot up a flare so we can see it a little bit better in this cave. And then we can collect all these bittercat mushrooms because these are going to be really good for cooking. So let's go ahead and see. You got some close to the water. Make sure you don't grab any dirty water. But ultimately, 60 episodes in. It's quite crazy. We're really excited about it. I think it's quite a big achievement, and it's just crazy. But obviously, as more things come to the game, I think the episodes are going to get more and more interesting as we're going to be finding out new lore, new different vaults are going to come to the game, things like that. So I think just as time goes on, I think it's going to open up a lot more of opportunity, potentially things that we're going to be exploring. So we could potentially make a lot of guides to sort of help other people who are playing the game who maybe haven't had enough as much time to play. But obviously they've given everyone quite a bit of time to play, so I don't necessarily know. But anyway, hopefully a lot of the different things that we're going to be doing in the game, we can provide a little bit of help and tips and tricks that could potentially help you guys progress further in the game faster. Depending on what happens, we'll have to see what that looks like. But I think for the most part, that's definitely going to be something that's coming along the way. It's just going to take more content in the game. I'm fairly sure that a lot of people who are playing this game have pretty much already seen everything that the game currently has to offer. Obviously, I think there's like one quest we actually have not completed yet, but we're not that concerned about it, as I feel like there's plenty of time to do that, as I imagine that even currently right now with range about to come to the game here in probably about like what, just rather soon, right? September 9th. And then after that, we're going to have to wait 3 months for anything substantial. So hopefully they give us something extra with range. Not entirely sure. It doesn't really matter either way. Ultimately, from September, then October, November, December. So we're going to be 3 months even after we get range. 3 months away from really getting any more exciting content that's going to basically push us further ahead in our journey in RuneScape Dragonwilds. I'm not sure why that goblin was killed so easily. It's possible we had some goblins trying to attack the base and they were sort of getting ready. I'm not sure how that works. But basically, we are going to go to sleep. We are going to go check out our mannequins and see what we might want to do in the future. And then we're going to do an XP update, and that's probably going to be it for episode 60. It's crazy. We're so far ahead. But this was actually really cool. I had this idea that I wanted to sort of build like an upward sort of a balcony to showcase. We've got all of our bronze shields over there. So there's quite a bit going on here. And ultimately, we're going to keep working on it, keep progressing. And so let's go ahead and do an XP update. Nothing crazy. 296,000 attack XP. Range is not here yet. Wood cutting 1 million XP. Construction 2,009,000. Rune crafting 519,000. Magic 81,104 XP. Mining 4,061,000. Artisan 4,094,000. Cooking 220,671 XP. And I believe that's it, right? So that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. And thank you guys for watching. And if you guys have dropped a like or a sub, we really appreciate it. And until next time, Legion Nuda out.